Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I wanted to show you my basket quilt top. And as you can see, this is pretty wonky, so I'm going to take some of this apart and put it back together and see if I can get this squared up. So I want to show you how I do this. Now when I started this quilt, I knew the blocks were not the same size, and I did resize them the best I could and did a little fudging while I was stitching them together, but even though while I was putting them together they seemed to go together well, it's obvious that it didn't. So I believe I'm going to have to move a couple of blocks around. I believe on the right hand side, that first vertical row of blocks are all some of the larger blocks, and I need to switch them out with some of the smaller blocks. So I want to see how that works, and I'll show you how I do this. Okay, I took my ruler and went back and I measured these blocks now that they're put together, and I measured from the top to the bottom point to see if I could determine which block was giving me the problem, and it turns out to be this block here. This block is 10 inches from point to point. The rest are between 10.5 and 10.75 of an inch. These two are 10.5. This one's 10.5. This one is 10.75, 10.5. About 10.5. This one is almost 11 inches. So this one is a problem one too, and 10.5. So what I'm going to try to do is maybe switch this block with this block here, and we'll see how that goes. And then if it doesn't work, then I'm just going to have to quilt it as it is. But as you can see, this is really out of square, and that's more than what I want to try and fix. So though I could quilt it like this, this was going to be a wall hanging, and I really don't want to put this on my wall when it's that much out of square. So I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to have to undo my borders and then take these blocks out. Luckily, these are both on the outside. I don't have to go all the way through to the center, but it's going to take some work. So I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. What I decided to do was to go ahead and mark these blocks so that I don't get confused, because you know that can happen, because I will be interrupted probably more than once while I'm working on this quilt, and then I'll forget which ones I'm wanting to change. So I'm going to mark them, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've removed 2 sections of the quilt that contains those blocks that I'm going to switch around, and this is what's left of the quilt at the moment. Right now I'm going to put those other pieces together and then add them to the quilt, and I'll probably have to redo the binding on the top and the sides. I don't know that it's going to fit the way it is, but I left part of it on just in case. But if it doesn't fit, then I'll remove it and cut new pieces and go from there. Okay, here's the quilt. I've got it all repaired, and it is much more square now than it was before. And just moving those 2 blocks around made a big difference. I did have to put on 2 new borders, but it was worth it, and I'm glad I worked on this to get it square. Now the reason it wasn't square in the first place was just I had gotten sidetracked and forgot to measure the quilt before I put the borders on. I did measure the centers, and the centers seemed to be equal. I didn't measure the outside of the quilt, and if I had done that, I would have realized that it was quite a bit longer on one side than the other. I think it was about 1.5 inches. So just another lesson learned to take my time and double check all my measurements. So this will be ready to go on the quilting machine here in a little bit and get it quilted, and I think I'll go ahead and do a traditional quilting job on it and use it as a wall hanging. And I like the red and white. I thought it was a nice color for Christmas, so it's my hope to get this done in time and I can hang it up for a Christmas decoration. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you learned something, and please comment below. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links, and to keep up with my newest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.